I'm going to report on Reflection Week. I had 1 week. Ideally, it would have been in a cabin in the woods, but I only had access to, well, being at home. So kids everywhere and all that. But the good thing was that I actually got a day at the spa as a present. I think it was this Christmas from my mother and father. And so I used that. So I started off the Reflection Week by spending a night at the spa. And this was a Japanese spa with Zen meditation, yoga, saunas, cold and warm baths. It was really good for the first phase, which I call the slow down phase, where you just try to slow down, get out of the regular loop you're in, and then you can get more access to more creativity, universal intelligence, more access to the unconscious, and you just become more creative. So I wanted to have that kind of a slow down period to start off with before I went into my reflection and more thinking part of the experiment. And so the second part was what I call the reflection, and that was two parts. It was reviewing all my journaling I've done for the last 12 months, and that was a fascinating experience just to see so much you forget. You don't remember everything that happens. So much have happened during this year, but it's really good because you can gauge like what kind of momentum you have and where you're heading. So I'd recommend everyone to do that because I know a lot of people write, but I don't know if a lot of people actually read what they've written. Anyway, that was one part of that reflection experience. The second part was actually to go through my goals for short term, mid term, long term goals, and to see how they feel. And if there's anything that needs to be changed going into phase three. Speaking of phase three is the planning and strategy part. This is where we get into the real. We take the thinking hat on. We have gotten ourselves some perspective by slowing down, looking up at the bigger picture, and now we take what we have learned by our reflection, see where we saw what worked and what didn't, and we revise our goals to work with any new insights. What I did there was I updated all my goals. I looked at those goals and tried to break them down until they felt very exciting, because sometimes if your goals are too big, they might feel too far away for you to get them. Then you need to break them down a little bit into more achievable chunks. There's this saying that how do you eat an elephant? Bit by bit, right? So that's what you have to do with your goals as well. And so I did that, and when I had a list of achievable goals that I was really excited about, I started to actually look into what kind of actions I needed to do in order to achieve them. So I actually got the like very specific tasks that I could invest into like the coming days, and also with deadlines. Like, is this something that needs to be done this week? Is it next week? Is it this month? When in time and space does this need to happen? What else? Yes, and then I took that, and that became kind of a strategy guide for the next 6 months. And I also scribbled down all new ideas I got from just sitting and meditating on my goals. And I actually have like 3 new projects ready to go that I'm very excited about. Well, what went badly with this experiment? Well, I wanted to have really low stimulus environment. I couldn't have that because I couldn't go away for a week because I have all the kids and all that. So there was quite a lot of. It wasn't like just only in the beginning of the week where I had really big blocks of time to spend on this, and otherwise it was more chopped up in small fragmented pieces. But it was great anyway. Another thing that wasn't as great, I was on my phone quite a bit. The one thing was the coronavirus. The other thing was, of course, I was on social media, which I shouldn't have been to the extent that I actually was. So that's something to learn for next time. it's quite frustrating actually not to have to not enjoy books or movies or because I always do audiobooks when I do chores and stuff, so I kind of missed that during this week because it was usually the case that I couldn't think anyway because there was people screaming all around me, um, so I wouldn't get the thinking done, and at the same time I wouldn't get the reading done because I didn't allow myself to read. What was successful? This was actually, even though the circumstances was not ideal, this was such a powerful experience, and I'm gonna do this every year, maybe twice a year, because it really gave me a strategy. I know exactly what I need to do now, and I'm really excited to get started. That was actually one of the problems that I had. I was very eager to start all the time, so I had to hold myself back, and it's like, remember, it's the reflection week. We don't have to start right now. We're working on the plan. But right now, it feels like I have like the best plan I ever had. I mean, the goals, they are really excite me, and I have lists of things that I need to execute on, and it feels really fun and focused. And yeah, I would recommend you doing this. I would love to hear if your results are anything like mine, because I'm really happy with this. I think this is a 5-star experiment, and this is going to be a yearly thing going forward.